Back on the Borders and Borders hotline of the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call, Bob Pompeani, Gene Collier with you. Give us a shout, give us a tweet, give us whatever you want to give us. A lot of you have used this platform in the last couple of weeks to criticize Pitt. This would also be your opportunity to call back and give us your assessment of Jeff Capel. On Twitter, German Pitt fan says this, at KD Pomp, at Gene Collier. Can and would Capel bring any recruits from Duke with him, Gene? I think he can, but if so, they're going to be the end of the bench guys.
Well, yeah, I mean, some of those guys could help Pitt, but, I don't think that's something you want to be counting on necessarily, right?
They got some really big, talented kids coming in this class, too. And, Jeff Capel had a lot to do with that. So
Sure.
He has a great reputation. He knows the ACC. He's wanted to get back into the ACC. This is an opportunity to do just that. Let's get to the lines. Got a lot of people. Big Will in Monroeville. Hey, Will in the Ville. What's up?
Hey, guys. How are you this evening?
Good, thanks.
Good. Listen, I wanted to talk about the Penguins' defense, but then during the break, I thought of something. I'm a huge Jim Rutherford fan, but I really think that we could use Ian Cole right about now. We really don't need Derick Brassard, being the fact he really hasn't done too much since he's been here.
I wouldn't discount Derick Brassard, however, Will, just because he's really a big stakes player and he's getting better. He's had tonight, I think it ended, but 6 games in a row where he had scored 1 point. Yes, I agree with you. I think Ian Cole was somebody I would have liked to have kept, but they felt the need to do that to get what they got.
I understand that. I'm just worried with them not guaranteed any, playoffs yet. It's getting down.
They're going to get into the playoffs. I'm not going to get that crazy here. I just think they need to, as I said, and thanks for the call, Will, as always. Brassard is a guy who he's going to play well when they need him to play well, I believe. But, it costs something to get something, and they had to give up Cole and Reeves. I think they became less physical, and I think shot blocking is so important. We talked about this a lot yesterday, Gene. That's one of those things you can't just turn on and off. You have to know how to shot block, and he was really good at it.
Yeah, he was, but you've got to give up something to get something. And I think especially when the playoffs start, you'll see what a great player Derick Brassard is. He's a tremendous postseason player, and he's done a good job so far. I think the Penguins will probably bounce back.
Yeah, but you have to be a little concerned. You can't just go into this skating around thinking that you can immediately turn on a defense. I don't like the trend that's going on right here. They're going to make the playoffs, and they're going to be in the playoffs. They're not going to fall that far out of it. What I don't like, though, is they played badly on the road this year. They're now 15, I think 27 on the road.
Yeah, Bob, I always argue with you when you say that home ice advantage is important, and I always say that it's not. But with this particular Penguin team, it might be, because they really just have not played well on the road.
Now, that's what I'm talking about. This specific team right here, right now, I don't know that you can count on what they've done the last couple of years. We will see what we will see. Steve in Moon. Hey, Steve.
Hey, good evening, guys. How are you?
Good. What's up?
Good. Really disturbing effort tonight from the Penguins, playing a team that came in on back-to-back nights, played on the road last night, Detroit, played in Montreal.
Right. That's why I thought this game was going to be an easy win for them. I really did. They're sitting there waiting for them, and here's they get trounced up in Montreal, come back 1-12, and they dominated the Penguins.
Yeah, very alarming, almost as alarming as Gene's shitty comedy act.
Let's go to Ted in line 1. Ted, how you doing?
Good.
Good. What's going on, Ted?
Not much. Hey, I wanted to tell you, Murray gave up 5 goals in 26 shots.
Mm-hmm. Well, no, 4. One was empty netter at the end by Glendening.
Okay, well, but still, 4 goals in 26 shots, that's pretty bad.
Yeah, but again, if you looked at the fourth goal, or the third goal, is people are leaving guys uncovered in front. And thanks for the call, Ted. Gene, this has been a problem with them. They've given up odd man breaks and a lot of bad situations that really any goaltender could be hung out to dry.
Yeah, I thought Murray against the Flyers did not play well for 2 periods. I thought those first 2 Flyer goals were poor. Mm-hmm. But since then, I think he's been okay. He wasn't great tonight, and he has not been great since he's come back from his most recent injury. And this is a dynamic the Penguins are going to have to deal with. They're going into the playoffs without 2 Stanley Cup winning goaltenders. They're going to be Murray and a backup, and Murray does not look like himself, so that's going to be a factor.
Right. Interesting stuff. Let's go out to Brian in McCandless, who joined us on the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call. Brian, go ahead.
Hey, Bob, how are you doing tonight?
What's up, Brian?
Penguins, I'm a season ticket holder. I've been going to games for a number of years, and I agree. I would have loved to still have Ian Cole, and I know you're going to think I have 3 heads when I say this, but I would have traded Chris Letang. I'll tell you, he's played terrible.
A lot of people thought that. First of all, that's
when you look around when the other team's scoring goals recently, every time he's in front of the net.
he's a high risk. He's a high risk kind of guy, and when he gets burned because he goes in deep. And normally, what happens is somebody comes back and covers for him. The Penguins have a good system of forwards helping out. It's kind of a rotation system they have. If you saw the overtime against New Jersey, Gene, in that game, it failed because what happened is, this is 3-on-3.
Yeah.
But Letang went in deep. Malkin cheated in as opposed to going with Taylor Hall. And when a forward doesn't cover for him, they're in trouble. It's going to result in what it resulted in, a breakaway goal to win it.
Yeah, Chris Letang has always been, one of the league's top defensemen because he is such a good offensive player. He's not a great defensive player. He takes a lot of chances and he makes mistakes too. But all that said, you would not you like him on your team, but you're going to have that's part of the Chris Letang package, if you will.
Right, but physicality-wise, I don't know that they're as physical as maybe you might want them to be when they had Cole and Reeves. But they have guys who are willing to go into puck battles in the corner and do all that sort of stuff. And I think in the playoffs, that's more important than anything else.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, line one before we go to a break, and that would be Paul in Pittsburgh. Hello, Paul.
Hey, good evening, gentlemen. Thanks for taking the call.
Anytime.
I just wanted to comment on the Pitt hire. I think it's a good hire, but I have a question about Le'Veon Bell's contract. I heard that the Steelers offered him $13.5 million a year, but I didn't ever hear about how long the contract was good for and what part of that was guaranteed, whether it was 2 years guaranteed or 3 years guaranteed. Do you guys know?
Yeah, this is something that Ed Bouchette of the Post-Gazette, Gene, had talked about. He wanted to know about the terms of Le'Veon Bell's extension when it was a multi-year offer that he turned down. The average was 13.3. The guarantee was what?
I don't know.
I think it was $30 million out of $42 million.
Oh, yeah, that's right. It was in excess of $30 million.
Yeah. So the thing is with this situation, and I'm glad you brought this up because people think that it's going to get done. They have gone, Gene, how long negotiating with him?
I don't think it's going to get done.
Over a year.
Yeah. And
he's not yet agreed to a long-term deal. So therefore, it tells me he doesn't plan to make it a long-term deal.
I agree with that too.
Let's go to Pete, Squirrel Hill. Hey, Pete, what's up?
Bob and Gene, how are you?
Good, thanks.
Good.
Bob, about the trade deadline, Rutherford pulling the trigger on getting Brassard. Now, the jury's out on him until the playoffs. That's when we'll see how that plays out with dividends it reaps. But do you know how hard he may have gone after Evander Kane? That's the deal I think that they should have pulled because since the trade deadline, him going to San Jose, Bob,
he
has
good.
10 goals.
He's been really good, and he's a high-end guy who can do it out there, and he's playing with a pretty good team to begin with. I don't know what the deal was with Evander Kane. I don't know if you heard anything, if Rutherford was going after him, was involved with him. There are a lot of things we'll never know about that.
Yeah, I heard they were in on him, but I didn't hear that it ever heated up. So,
I think they could have offered a little bit more, as it turned out, than San Jose did, but they decided they wanted to get a center for Phil Kessel. To me, this was the way they went. They didn't think that Riley Shane, even though I thought he played pretty well at the time, Gene, they thought Brassard was the kind of guy who can really bring out the best in Kessel because Mike Sullivan wants to separate all three of his superstar guys, Sidney, Malkin, and Kessel.
Gives them 3 lines and actually 4 now with Sheehan playing on the 4th line where he's going to do a good job.
Well, but wingers are wingers, and Kane was a good one, but he's in San Jose, and you're right, he's been outstanding. We're going to take a break here. We have Angelo, Eric, and Dave coming up. It's 412-575-2600. If you would like to join the conversation, we're doing week 7 nights right here on the Sports Call. We'll be right back.